Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, or Sunday if you are listening to this the next day. Welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. And I guess they've been saving the offense for the last few days for today. My goodness, what an outburst today. 15 runs, 18 hits, snapping their six-game losing streak, improving the record to 41 and 43. 14 runs in the last 5 games, and then 15 today. My goodness. But let's just hope this isn't some kind of, another one of these outbursts where they've had a couple of these along the way, right? Remember St. Louis, remember Baltimore, 18 against St. Louis, 19 against the Orioles, and then the offense went cold after those games, right? The offense has been cold as of late, like I said. But, they have been scoring some runs without Raffy, right? You go back to the San Fran series, they did all right in a couple of those games, even though they dropped 2 out of 3. Against the Angels, they were putting up a fight there. And, this team can score runs. It's just a matter of being consistent and just having good at-bats. They haven't been able to do that as of late during this losing streak. And, hey, hopefully today was a good sign. But you know what? I'm going to, proceed with caution a little bit. Remember, this was a theme for the Red Sox, before they got hot there. The couple of series against the Yankees, the Rays series, they were looking very good before the Raffy trade. But remember, one common theme with the Red Sox leading up to that point was inconsistent inconsistencies, right? Is this another case of that? Or is this a team that could be finally waking up? We'll just have to wait and see. But there is a lot of offense to talk about in this one, ladies and gentlemen. Wilyer Abreu, great day from him today. He got it started, had a homer and a double along the way. Seti with another homer, Romy with a homer. Story, Anthony contributing, getting some extra base hits. Anthony with a couple of doubles today. One off of a position player in the 8th inning. I don't usually like the stat padding kind of stats. I get it, right? Hey, you got to pitch, right? But, I tend not to like those ones very much against the position players. But, shout out Roman Anthony today. And you're starting to see Roman really coming through. Let me actually pull up his updated numbers now. And, we've talked about this in the last week or so. A lot of hard hit balls, working counts. It's just a matter of putting it together at the major league level. And I think once he starts seeing more of these major league caliber pitches, right? Pitches with more movement, more velo, whatever it may be, right? Different angles coming from different arm slots. I think once Roman starts just seeing these pitches a little bit more, I think it's only a matter of time before this guy really starts being, a force to me. Maybe that's getting ahead of myself a little bit this year, but you could see the talent with this guy. But what I liked from him today was he had a double, right, in the 5th inning. This guy got jammed, right? It was a pitch inside, and he shoots it the other way and ends up getting a double out of it. That's what you like to see from good hitters, right? And, you usually will see that from these good hitters, right? Where, no matter where that pitch is in the strike zone, they can do something with it, right? You saw that today with Roman Anthony. You're seeing these little signs as we go further along. And I think Roman is getting close. Now, the updated numbers still not great, right? 634 OPS, but that's been climbing here. Let's see if it can keep going for him. And Lucas Giolito today. Well, more than enough support for Gio, but this man was cooking on the day, man. He's looked great in his last 4 outings. He had that bumpy start at the beginning of the month in June, but since then, I think this guy looked in the mirror and he's like, all right, I got to quit fooling around out here. I got to start doing what works for me. And this guy's been great. Last 4 starts, 25 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. That is an ERA of 0.72. Like I've said with Giolito, right? I'll get into it as we, break down his outing, but he's really, in my opinion, just kept things very simple. Not trying to do too much, right? His velo's been looking all right. Off-speed stuff's looking all right. Breaking stuff's looking all right. It's all about location with him, right? Moving up and down to the zone, changing eye levels. And that's really it with Giolito. He's not going to be a Garrett Crochet where he's going to be able to overpower you, with velo from the left side and, nasty cutters and sinkers and, sweepers to go along with it. Giolito, he's really just going to be working off of a few pitches, but he's doing it very well. So Really like what we saw today from Giolito. Sure, it was more than enough run support, but hey, he kept it going. And, the last couple of turns through the rotation, you've been wanting to see another guy besides Crochet step up here. You saw, Bayo wasn't at his best. Like I said yesterday, Bayo, he wasn't at his best, right? He gave up 8 hits. He only struck out one guy, a few walks along the way. But the encouraging thing about that outing from Bayo was, he was able to still get through 6 innings, even though it was bumpy, But this is what you like to see. They've been needing someone else to really turn in some consistent outings. And Giolito is that guy right now. I still think the Red Sox need to go out there and try and add a guy. We talked about this last night. And listen, I said it yesterday. I feel like what the Red Sox are going to end up doing, it's weird to say they're 41-43, 2 games under 500 here, but I really think, as long as they stay close within that wild card hunt, I think this is a team that they're going to be kind of doing this sort of soft buy, soft sell kind of a thing, or just a good solid mix of buying and selling, trying to get rid of some guys that might not be good fits here in Boston and bringing in some other guys that could help upgrade the team. And maybe going after an everyday option at first base. No disrespect to Romy Gonzalez. He was pretty solid here today. But, getting an everyday option, I think could end up being a good thing for the Red Sox, just to give them someone to write into the lineup every single day. I was thinking about this. I don't know if anyone else is feeling like this, but, looking back at lineups, 2003, 2004, 05, 06 even. All right, you go back to the days of Manny and Poppy. I miss the days where you weren't worrying so much about platoons, right? Where you can just write these guys into the lineup every single day. Maybe get, 1 or 2 platoon guys in there, like someone to go up against some lefties. But that was really it. I miss those days. I don't know if anyone else misses those days. Let me know in the comments if you miss those days of just having an everyday lineup and then maybe a couple of changes along the way. But that's what I would like for the Red Sox to do. Even though they scored 15 runs today, still, I want the lineup to be, just a bit more consistent, especially when they get Bregman and Massa back. I think an everyday first base option will be a good thing. And then you could have someone like Romy going up against lefties. And then Toro, maybe could be just a guy coming off the bench. But I see you in the chat, Marco Scudero. Roman's hard hit balls are finally starting to drop. Love to see it. Listen, there's a difference with a guy that comes up from the minor leagues when he's consistently having hard hit balls against a guy that, maybe gets a couple along the way. But Roman, if you just watch him up there, that's why I'm like tired of these comments that, I thought Roman was supposed to be, this next best thing. He's hitting like 150. It's like, these people just don't watch the games, right? They don't watch the at-bats. They just go to the box score after. But when you watch Roman, he is different. It's just the way he approaches the at-bats. And again, I think it's only a matter of time before this guy just starts going off, right? I mean, you saw a little bit here today. Sure, double late in the game off of a position player, but whatever. Roman, I think, is looking very good. I'm happy to see what he's been able to do so far. Do I have anything else here for the intro? I think that's all I got for the intro. We'll start diving in here to the outburst for today, how that ended up happening. We'll go into Giolito a little bit, and then we got a couple of other news to talk about, and we'll do a Game 2 preview as well. But everybody, really quick, we do have a word from our sponsor. I'll be right back.
Kratz, real talk. I do not carry cash around me, but what I do carry around on my phone is Cash App.
Easy peasy. Like I said before, anytime Scott can pay for the tab, that is good. And it's always right there. Fast, easy, always available.
Yeah. Oh, my credit card's not working, or oh, I didn't bring cash with me. There's no more alligator arms. Do you have your phone? Most people have their phone. So use Cash App. It's secure and safe. There's no waiting around. It is a super, super easy sign-up process. You can sign up quicker than you can listen to Kratz and I talk about Cash App. For a limited time only for the FT fam, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code TERRITORY in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's cash out.
All righty, let's get to the offense, shall we? And my player of the game today is Wilyer Abreu. To me, Wilyer Abreu getting it started today really took pressure off of everything. You almost felt this bit of a pressure almost with just the fans today, right? In attendance at the game. You just felt just something heavy in the room. You know, obviously, the big loss last night, 6-game losing streak, obviously, right? But you felt it. And Wilyer coming through with the home run today to start things off here in the first inning, I thought was huge. And especially after a couple of outs there, you know, Jarren Duran striking out and then Roman grounding out, you know, but then Toro, Narvi coming through with the base hits, Wilyer Abreu with a shot to make it 3-0. He's been very good as of late in his last 7 games, hitting over 300, OPS right around 850. Really liking Wilyer Abreu as of late. And, you know, this is a guy that, you know, especially until Bregman, Massa come back, you need someone like Wilyer to really start coming through here, right? These are the spots that you need Abreu to come through, especially with no more Rafi. They did load the bases again in the first inning, but Seti grounding out on the first pitch. Of course, Seti swinging on the first pitch. It was a pitch right down the middle, so I'm not going to get mad at him for it. But that's okay because they scored a lot more runs after that. Second inning, Roman had the base hit, 108 miles per hour off the bat. Wilyer coming up yet again with a double, made it 4-0. Trevor Story with himself a good game here today, made it 6-0. Third inning, they loaded the bases once again. Holy cow, Chris Bassett, what an off day for him. Blue Jays fans, I don't know if you're here with me in the chat today, but wow. Chris Bassett, what the heck was going on with him today? You know, and I was talking about this yesterday in the Game 2 preview, where Bassett, this is a guy that pounds the zone. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's going to have a good tempo. I think the Red Sox, they just went to town. They attacked, right? They were just swinging the bats, and I think they kind of said, all right, well, he likes to throw a lot of strikes. Well, we're going to swing at a lot of those strikes. So I think that's really just what it was here today. But Bassett, he's always had just some, you know, pretty solid outings against the Red Sox. So kind of weird, just an anomaly here today for Bassett. But loaded the bases, Sogard, Duran with the walk, Seti with the base hit, and then Toro walking in a run that made it 7-1. Narvaez with a sac fly made it 8-1. Toro, he stole second. Kirk with a throwing error, then ended up scoring Roman, made it 9-1. Sixth inning, Story with another double. Sogard base hit, made it 10-1. Seti with a home run. How many home runs is that for Seti now? Let's go check on that. I believe that is his 9th home run. That is number 9 for Seti on the year. Hey, Seti, man, you know, this is all we want from him. We all know the glove. We all know the speed that he has as well, the energy that he brings. To me, if this guy can just give you a 7 to 750 OPS, give you a couple of dingers along the way, I'm okay with that. That's all I need. That's all I need from Seti, man. Really happy with the year that he's having up to this point. I did a video on the main channel not too long ago, the most underrated player on each team. You know, obviously, us Red Sox fans, we know how solid he's been, but I wonder how many people around Major League Baseball actually know, you know, just how solid he has been for the team, right? If you go look at the advanced metrics for guys like Pete Crow Armstrong, they're pretty similar in some areas. So it's nice to see Seti coming through. 8th inning, Romy with a 2-run home run. All right, you just kept on adding on at that point. You got a 15th run in the end. Good day. Good day for the offense. But let's get to Lucas Giolito. What were the keys for him today? Now, with Giolito, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts. That is not Lucas Giolito. Where is Lucas Giolito? My goodness. Why do we have to keep having all these mistakes? There's Lucas Giolito. There we go. But same old formula, like I said in the intro. Pounded the zone, fastballs up, off speed down. He went sliders in on righties a lot today. Went away on a couple of them as well. Just a very good day. I mean, like I said, it's a very simple approach with him. He's just going to pound the zone. He was in the strike zone, I believe, around, 55% of the time today. Just mixing and matching, man. Just the good old classic old school way of pitching, right? Gotta love it. And what I think was a big key for Giolito today as well, like I said with Willier, helping the offense get off to a good start, just kind of relieving that pressure to start things off. But I think Giolito, that 12-pitch first inning, was a key for him, right? Blue Jays having a big night last night, and then Giolito just coming in and setting the tone, getting himself off to a good start, giving himself some good momentum for the rest of the innings here today. Giolito, man, that's all you could have asked for. Also today, for the bullpen, Chris Murphy coming back from Tommy John. Chris Murphy, in case you forgot who that is, well, first outing since September of 2023. He was in the Red Sox top 30 prospects back in 2023. He was 15th overall on Pipeline. I believe he was 18th on Fangraphs. I think he was also in that right around that area as well on Baseball America. He's a solid, left-handed pitching prospect, a guy that's going to give you some okay velo, good off-speed stuff. I believe Fangraphs, they gave him a 60 grade on the changeup. I believe Pipeline gave it a 55. I think Baseball America was right around there too. But a guy that, and he was pitching pretty well when he came up to the Red Sox. He had a pretty good strikeout to walk ratio. ERA in 2023, I think it was right around 45 to 50 innings pitched. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I think it was 47 1/3. Someone go check that for me. Is that the right number? 47 1/3 innings pitched. I'm going to give myself a reward of a donut if I got that number right. I think that's the number. But with Murphy, he had a good ERA. He had not a great ERA in 23, but the FIP looked a lot better. So a guy where he was getting a good amount of strikeouts, he's keeping the walks down for the most part. So, hey, Chris Murphy, nice to see him back. He wasn't pitching great in the minor leagues. If you go look at his stats for this year down at AAA, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why the heck is this guy even up with the Red Sox right now? His ERA, I believe, was like near a 10 or something like that. But I think it was just him just working on some stuff. But let's see, how long he ends up sticking around. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much it for the game today, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty straightforward, a lot of runs and good pitching. Gives you a pretty quick show for the day here today. But we do have a Game 2 preview. I don't know why that's not in the rundown on the side. I'm making mistakes here, ladies and gentlemen. What can I do? Before we do get to the Game 2 preview, we will go over some roster news as well, a couple of things to touch on before we wrap things up. But before we get to those, one more word from our sponsor.
By now, you know about Arena Club. Buy, sell, trade, open up slab packs to get a card that you don't think you could get usually, but the Grails will tell you that, for example, there's an Aaron Judge rookie card in this week's slab packs, so make sure you check those out.
No doubt. Those are what you want, the Grails. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge Grail is awesome, graded, traded if you want, tell you how much it's worth, whatever you want to do. And I'm a big Michael Jordan fan with my 23 shirt on. There's a Michael Jordan Grail in there that I'm looking forward to try to get.
20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL.
All righty, let's get to it here, shall we? Now, we did touch on some things yesterday when it came to the injury report, but Massa today was running the bases yet again, and the man has quite the running ability. If you have not seen Masataka Yoshida run before, it's always a treat. Please go watch it. It's perfect form. It looks amazing. I wish I could run like Masataka Yoshida. But he did run the bases again today. Bregman, he was doing some stuff here today. These guys are on track. Looks like they're feeling good. I think they're just at a point right now where they're just trying not to push things too much, right? Just trying to keep the progress steady, because work themselves back. Like I said last night, this is a team that I think is very focused on the second half. You look at Cora in the postgame. Today, and Cora, the way he's always been, he'll have a couple of little outbursts with the umpires, but he's always a pretty mellow guy. Keeps things pretty low key for the most part. But you're saying today, these guys aren't panicking. They're not stressing out. And even after a 6-game losing streak, they're still trying to keep things in check. And I was saying last night, I think there's a lot of similarities to the Detroit Tigers from last year, a team that had talent, A team that last year I picked that Tigers team to win the division because I'm looking at that team and I'm seeing everyone else like picking the Guardians and the Twins. And I'm looking at that Tigers team and I'm thinking, I'm like, why is no one picking this Tigers team? It's a good team, right? I mean, Scooble, I was banking on him having a great year because the year prior when he came back from Tommy John, he was looking, really good. And I was thinking, okay, he's just going to build upon that. And then he ended up having a Cy Young season. So I'm thinking, you got Scooble, right? They had Flaherty. I'm looking at guys in the lineup. I'm like, all right, you got some solid bats throughout this lineup, guys that can do some things. You had some arms in the bullpen. I'm thinking like, man, this Tigers team could be good. And then they underperformed in the first half and they just couldn't find their way. And you're thinking, what is going on with this team? And they ended up selling. They traded away Flaherty. They got back Trey Sweeney in that deal, who ended up helping them out in the second half. And everyone just started to click, right? They maybe switched up a couple of things. They still were getting some great pitching from Scooble. Guys were stepping up at the pitching staff. They had the chaos pitching staff where guys in the bullpen were opening games, right? They went with just this non-traditional approach. And here they were, one win away from the ALCS. And I feel like you see that at least some things with this Red Sox team. You got an ace, you got talent, you got guys that can do things, right? And then, you're going to get Bregman back here soon after the All-Star break. Massa, he's going on a rehab assignment next week. I mean, I don't know, man. I just see a lot. I see a lot of that Detroit Tigers team here. Maybe not exactly the same exact thing, but I see a lot of it. We'll see. See how it goes. But Yoshida, again, running the bases today. Bregman taking some grounders today. Taking more steps forward. So let's get to, also Justin Slayton. I think Cora talked about Slayton here today. I think he was on here. Luis Guerrero. I knew I was missing someone. Luis Guerrero going on the IL with a right elbow strain. He did pitch last night. He gave up a couple of runs. It didn't look amazing. I guess something was bugging the man. And, he's on the IL, right elbow strain. So, but Justin Slayton, they talked about Slayton here today. He's playing some catch right now. I talked about this yesterday. I'm thinking to myself, man, Slayton's probably going to be coming back soon. And then I go to look at the update. I'm thinking, this guy hasn't even thrown any bullpens or anything yet. What the heck's going on? So Slayton is moving along a little slower than expected. Hopefully that ends up not being anything crazy. Shoulder, you always got to watch out with that, man. Always got to watch out. But I'm guessing, obviously got the All-Star break coming up. We'll see. Hopefully he's back by August. I think that's probably going to be a good time frame for him to come back. I don't think they're going to rush him. I think they would like to have him for the last couple of months. I'm going to think August for Justin Slayton as well. Also, Jordan Hicks. I talked about this last night. He did make a rehab appearance for Worcester. Scoreless inning, touching 100 a couple of times. I'm excited for Jordan Hicks to get back to this roster. Now, let's get to the post-game breakdown here. Let's get to the post-game breakdown. Or not the post-game breakdown. What my brain is not working. Potato brain moment. The Game 3 preview. Game 3 preview. And let me give you my breakdown for that. Walker Buehler. This is a big start for Walker Buehler here tomorrow. I think his job could be on the line in this start. I really think that. I'm not even trying to be dramatic here, but I think at least his next turn in the rotation is on the line here. Buehler, in my opinion, I think honestly, take a page out of Giolito's book. Keep things simple. Go with a few pitches. Keep it simple, man. This is a guy, if you go look at his outings every single time, the guy's throwing like 7 different pitches. I say just stick with a few. Focus on quality instead of quantity. Who knows what the reasoning is for that? Is it like a feel kind of a thing? Is it sort of just trying to figure out what's working, what's not? I think when you look at the numbers with Walker Buehler, he needs to lean with the sinker. All right, that's his best pitch so far on the year. He's got a 6-run value. Batters are only hitting 160 against it. It's got some decent movement on it. Has some nice tail to it. I say stick with the sinker, man. That's what I think he needs to do. Pound the zone with those, get some ground balls, mix in some cutters along the way. That hasn't been a great pitch for him. Batters are hitting 400 against it. But I think if you can mix it in along the way, just locate it, right? Go inside, go on the outside corners. Don't leave this meatball cutter right over the plate. But I think it's okay to mix some in. Mix in a couple of four-seamers as well. That's been a terrible pitch for him this year, slugging .868 against it. But if you want to mix in a couple of fastballs just to kind of change pace, change eye levels a little bit, I think it's fine. But don't leave these pitches right over the zone. Right? If you want to attack the zone, go with the sinker. And then just stick with the breaking pitches as your out pitches, right? The slider, it's been a decent pitch for him this year. I mean, it's not a great put-away pitch. You know, he's got the sweeper as well. I think really with him, I think he needs to really just focus on let the defense do the work behind you, man. Be confident throwing in the zone. I think that's going to be the big key with Buehler here moving forward. The problem with Buehler is he just doesn't have really a good out pitch at this point. The fastball is not really doing anything for him. I think you kind of need to start relying on the defense a little bit more. We'll see how this goes here tomorrow. But I think his job is on the line with this one. I don't think you can give the ball to Walker Buehler anymore if he has a bad outing. So, and that's a good point. Austin, if he can just get past the first inning, he'll be okay. I think so too, right? I mean, if you go back to the first inning in the last couple of outings here, he's been pretty terrible, right? Try and get off to a good start. Throw strikes. I think that's going to be the key. But NESN viewers, I am going to wrap it up right there. I'm going to finish the preview here over on YouTube. If you want to see the rest, come on over to Monster Territory and come catch it. But NESN viewers, we'll be back here tomorrow for the series finale post-game recap. But all right, let's get to it here. We got Eric Lauer going for the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, my potato brain is not working right now. The Toronto Blue Jays. Eric Lauer, he has had success this year. He's been doing a little bit of both. Bullpen, rotation, 2.21 ERA on the year. Let me actually pull up all the numbers here. He's got a 3.85 on the FIP. A guy that's going to work in a lot of fastballs from the left side. He's going to work in some cutters. He's going to work in some changeups as well, some sliders. So Eric Lauer, he's found a lot of success so far this year. But if we're taking a look a little closer with Lauer, if we take a look at the location on his pitches, he's going to live more up in the zone with the four-seamer. He's going to go up in the zone a lot with the cutter. Curveballs, he's going to go down. Sliders, tends to hang those a little bit. Right? I think that could be a key pitch to look for tomorrow. See if you can find yourself a nice slider to tee off on. And the changeups, he's going down and away from lefties, down and in on righties. So, but yeah, fastball, I mean, that's what a lot of the guys are doing now these days, right? I mean, you're seeing it with Giolito. They're going up in the zone with his fastball. All right, going up with the cutter as well. Now, if we take a look here at the breakdown against these pitches, the one pitch that has not fared very well for him is the cutter. 273 batting average against the cutter this year, 455 on the slugging, an expected slugging of 555. So that could be a pitch to be looking out for here tomorrow. If you can leave one over the plate, lets it leak a little bit, that's something you got to tee off on. All right. Now, if you're taking a look here, changeup, he doesn't throw a ton of changeups. When it comes to his changeup, he's going to throw it more against the righties. So let's see if he can hang one, right? Let's see if some of these righty bats like Trevor Story can maybe come through. We'll see. But it's going to be an interesting one. Lauer, he's had success. Hey, they figured out Chris Bassett today, and that's been a tough assignment for the Red Sox over the years. So, but everybody, we're going to wrap it up right there. We're going to wrap it up right there. Hey, a good one here today. Good one here today. And let's see if they can continue. But we do have a super chat here. Brandon Patterson, $4.99. Any chance? Let me pull this up on the screen here. Thank you for that, my friend. I do appreciate that. Let me pull up the super chat here. Here we go. Brandon Patterson. Any chance they trade Rafaela over Durant? And do you think Hicks could take over in the rotation for Buehler? No. I'm going to say no to both of those. I don't think Rafaela is going anywhere. Going into the season, I was, the first month or so, I was wondering if Seti could be a guy that you move because I was thinking other teams would really value his defense, right? And then obviously he's still very young, so I'm thinking maybe teams could try to get a little bit more out of the bat with him. But then I also thought from the Red Sox point of view, this is a reason why they would want to hang on to him, right? When you have good up-the-middle defense, center field, shortstop, second base, catcher, you want to hang on to those guys, right? That's such an underrated aspect of a team. I think a lot of people these days forget about defense. At the end of the day, yeah, sure, you got to score runs, but how many times have we seen this year where the runs allowed department has not come through? And a lot of those times hasn't been because of the pitching. A lot of those times has been because of defense. All right. So you need to keep those good defensive players, in my opinion. So then I started thinking, okay, Duran, Abreu. I was actually leaning more towards Abreu. The way I always try to, at least at first, right? I always try to think when it comes to trades. And I think this is I don't want to say it's a problem that most people have, but I do notice it pretty consistently. When people are thinking of not all people, I don't want to generalize it, but for the most part, I notice this. People will think of trades. We need to go get that guy. We need to go get that guy. This guy, we got to get him, right? We got to make a trade for this starting pitcher, add him to the rotation. But what I don't see a lot is people asking, or is people saying, would the other team give up that player? Or are we a good trade partner with that team? Does that team have what we're looking for, right? It's easy to say we need to go trade for Freddie Peralta on the Brewers, right? But do we have the pieces that the Brewers want necessarily? And if we do, what is it going to take? It takes two to tango. Got to have the other team going for, what you're looking to do too, right? It's got to help them. All right, that's the whole point of a trade. It's got to help both sides. So getting back to Wilyer, I was thinking to myself, well, teams probably might value Wilyer, right, over someone like Duran because he has more upside and he's got more years of control and he's cheaper. So I could see teams thinking, well, they're going to want Wilyer. But then, as we went along and the Red Sox are still trying to find success consistently with the offense, well, if you're looking at Duran and Wilyer, Duran, sure, the speed, that's very nice to have, but the Red Sox are 2 games under 500 right now. So is that really going to do much for you? I mean, or could you go in a different route moving forward? So that's where I start to think Duran, he's kind of almost like that. He's a nice fallback option, in my opinion, to Wilyer when you're looking at the whole package, years of control. How much are you paying him, right? I look at Duran where he's got 3 years of control. Sure, he's getting a little bit more in arbitration right now. And there's teams out there where I think his skill set could really benefit them. It's been inconsistent with the Red Sox up to this point, where I actually do think at this point the Red Sox, they could move him and then you go with an outfield of Roman, Wilyer, and Seti, and I think you're still good to go. I mean, sure, you're going to have to figure out the leadoff spot, but I think you got guys that could potentially move into that spot, especially if they can get another bat, especially if they can do that. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I do think Rafael is not going anywhere. I think it's going to come down, in my opinion, I think it's going to be Duran. I really do. I just think, his numbers are down from last year, but I don't think that's necessarily going to turn other teams away from him. I think it's just more of what's going to be the best fit for the Red Sox now. And I think moving on without Duran, it would stink, but I think they would be fine without him. I could be very wrong about that. I think it's going to be Duran. I really do. But as to the other question you had, Jordan Hicks, no, I think they're going to want to keep him in the bullpen. That is, that to me, when the Giants first signed Jordan Hicks and they said he was going to be in the rotation, I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's see how this goes, right? It's always worth trying. You think of Garrett Whitlock, that didn't work out. It's worked out with guys over the years. You have seen it, but with Jordan Hicks, they tried it out. He was inconsistent. And to me, I think it's best for him to just stay in the bullpen. And Craig Breslow, he's already said they pretty much see him as a high leverage reliever. And that could be huge if, and I see you in the chat, George, thank you. Yes, Justin Slayton was moved to the 60-day IL. So if Slayton's going to be taking a while to get back, then Hicks could be that guy to step into, is going to be that guy to step into the role. All right. So we'll see. We'll see. But, yeah. What was another thing I wanted to touch on here? There was another, what was it? I'm going blank. Oh, I know what it was. I saw a lot of people today talking about the Raffy trade, right? And the timing of it. I saw a lot of people do, and this kind of ties into what I was saying here with, Wilyer and Duran and, what other teams would prefer, and what the Red Sox would prefer to do and whatnot. But I think with the Raffy trade, I saw a lot of people talking about this. Why didn't they wait to trade Raffy? Why did they wait, or why did they do it so soon? Why didn't they wait until closer to the deadline? I think, to me, that's where it kind of comes in again. It takes two to tango. If the Giants wanted to get a deal done, at the end of the day, if you want to trade a guy and another team, they would like to have him. But a lot of the times teams, they'll put a deadline on things. They'll be like, hey, we want to get this done by this time. We want to get this done by, hopefully before the end of the month or whatever. They want to get their shopping done a little early, And so for the Giants, with what they were offering, again, people can look at the return package for the Red Sox and say, oh, that's a little underwhelming. But again, you have to factor in the money. That is such a big thing that I think, I don't want to say people don't realize it, but I think a lot of people don't fully recognize the weight of a contract. When you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to a guy, that has a lot of weight to it. At the end of the day, yes, we could all sit here and make moves like we're playing MLB The Show, but these are businesses, right? These are organizations that are, looking very heavily at payroll, right? And to me, when the Red Sox were getting a former top 25 prospect in Kyle Harrison just from a couple of years ago, and you're getting a decent arm with Jordan Hicks and the first round pick and James Tibbs from last year, you might not have had a better package than that. I saw someone else today. I'm not going to say any names, but I saw someone else today. Oh, well, why didn't you check out, the other teams out there that could have made a trade for him? Well, they did, right? And I was told personally by that, right? There were definitely a couple other teams that were in the mix, right? And it was reported by other reporters out there. They took over a month to move this guy. And I am pretty sure the Red Sox, when it came to trading a star player like that and understanding the magnitude of that kind of a move, of what the reaction would be from the fan base, I am pretty sure they took their time. And I saw people today just saying, like, they should have waited more. I mean, do you honestly think if they could have, would they have? If they thought they would have had a better offer, don't you think they would have? I think I would have. I mean, if they didn't, then shame on them. But I think that was the best they were going to get in that trade. Not for the player, but for the player and the contract. The contract is such a big deal. It's a huge deal. And to have a team be willing to take that on, and I think that was a big part of it too, where other teams were interested. The Braves, I believe, were in the mix reportedly. I think the Blue Jays, they made a phone call. There's another team I'm going blank on. But I was told personally, one team out there wanted the Red Sox to eat a good amount of the money. So, but the Red Sox, to me, if they saw an opportunity to be able to just get rid of the entire thing and just wipe their hands clean slate, while getting pretty solid talent back in return. Let's see if any of it pans out. But I think for the Red Sox, the fact that they didn't have to pay any of the contract, and now they can use those funds for other players out there, just like the Red Sox did in 2013, bringing in a whole bunch of guys that led to a World Series. I mean, I don't know. Like, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, right? To me, I think it was, I don't think there was going to be a better offer, right? And then this is where I could see the Red Sox, where you could argue against the Red Sox, right? When it came to the timing of the deal. Someone else told me today on Twitter saying, well, the Red Sox, they should have had a backup plan. I think that's definitely a conversation, right? Could the Red Sox have had another move lined up? But then again, that's difficult because while the Giants were willing to, again, they were aggressive taking on the contract and, willing to get it done early, right? Before they started thinking about other things as well. That's another thing I forgot to mention too. These things are very fluid, right? Once the day on a calendar turns for a Major League Baseball team, all plans could be out the window and you might have to change course completely, right? So the fact that you had an opportunity at hand, I think the Red Sox, they just thought, all right, I don't think we're going to get better than this. We got to get this done now. And the Giants were willing to do that. So I forgot where I was going with that, but I went blank on that. Thinking of a million different things at once here. But I just think the timing of it, I think it pretty much had to have been then when it happened. Oh, I was talking about contingency plans, right? Having a backup plan, right? Bringing someone else in. But that's tough because while the Giants were willing to make the move at the time, other teams usually are not really, picking up the phone as much as they are getting closer to the deadline, right? They're still waiting. Teams are still in contention, right? They're figuring out where they're at in the wild card standings in the division, right? They're still far away. The Giants were an interesting case because they were willing to take on a big contract that early. They had the payroll flexibility to do it, so it's kind of hard where, yeah, it'd be nice for the Red Sox to bring in another bat to replace Rafi in the lineup, like when the Red Sox traded Manny and then they brought back Jason Bay. Well, yeah, I mean, that just worked out. That was then, right? Yeah, that worked out. At this point, the Red Sox they couldn't do that. And they thought to themselves, okay, well, this will be a good chance to start getting Roman some at-bats, and we'll try and get a bat a little closer to the deadline. Again, I understand people's concern about things, and I understand, oh, why not this? Why not that? Why not this? There's a lot of things we don't know, and I think a lot of the times we need to stop acting like we're just experts because we really don't know what the heck is going on. We have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. Oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't the Red Sox make this other move? Or why didn't they wait until the deadline? I don't know. You're not in the front office. You don't know. You don't know anything. I don't know anything. None of us know anything. We're all what's the term? Couch GMs, really, at the end of the day. We can give our opinions on things. I think that's fair. But we don't know everything. But that's what I think it was. I think the timing, it was a very, the Rafi trade, I think it was a very, a rare occasion. You don't ever see, I don't think you can ever really, was there another trade at all in time where a guy had that much money getting paid to him and he got moved in June? That's a very rare occurrence. That doesn't happen very often. Brandon, one more super chat, moving him out of the AL had to be in the convo as well. Of course. I don't think that was the main driving point, but I think that's a benefit, right? They look at that and I'm like, all right. So it is what it is, right? I can ramble on, but I saw people talking about that today. I wanted to touch on that. So, but Brandon, thank you for the super chats. Appreciate that. I think at some point, Duran there's a good chance of him getting moved, right? I've been told personally by a little birdie out there that I have trusted over the last couple of years. That's given me a couple of scoops that ended up happening, right? And he told me that he told me that the Braves have kicked the tires on Jarren Duran. Yeah. So that I think is going to happen at some point. They have to move an outfielder. I mean, they just have to, unless someone gets hurt, right? Then again, like something like that, plans can change quick. Someone goes down, let's say something happens to Willier, hopefully not, or whatever, or Duran himself. Well, all those talks are out the window at that point. Anyway, I'm rambling. I feel like my brain is starting not to work, which happens a lot. Everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining me here today. Hopefully we can pick up this win tomorrow. We need this win. We need a series win. It's going to be a dogfight tomorrow. Hopefully Bueller can get himself right, man. He's pitching for his job, I think. Brent Bell, one more. Do you think Duran could be traded for Bryce Miller? No, Bryce Miller, he's been dealing with some arm issues. I think teams are going to be a little scared of that, personally. Austin, where do you think Massa should hit? Second in front of Bregman, in my opinion. I think Bregman should bat second. I think that would make a lot. I mean, unless they want to keep him third, and then they just, you keep Roman in the number 2 spot. I would like Bregman in the number 2 spot. That's your best bat. It's kind of where I'm at, honestly. And I would probably, probably go Roman third, and then you work Massa probably into either like that 4th or 5th spot, I think. So that's where I'm at. But everybody, we'll be back here tomorrow for the Game 3 post game. If you can on the way out, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you tomorrow.